Just wait for it. There we go. And there. Welcome, everyone, to the... It says 5 waiting. Well, I'm hoping that means that people are here. Welcome, everyone, to the Still Small Voice unit study and audiobook launch event. This is the first time doing an event like this. I've done a lot of Google Meets over the last year and Teams meetings and Zooms, but I've never done an event like this, so I'm super excited to be here. In the background, you're going to see the prizes worth having. So our big thing for this, the door prize for this event, is the it is this bundle of middle grade books by Christian authors. If you comment on this post that's linked here, if you go off and make a comment, we'll use that to gather up your contact information and figure out who the winner is. So I'm super excited to have my cast of characters here that help me be successful as a writer, author, publisher. Allen Brokken, and if you're showing up, you probably know who I am, but just to say, I'm the author of the Towers of Light series. Still Small Voice is the second book in the series. And what's pretty exciting to me is we actually have audiobooks out that you can go to audible.com and get that now. And in just a little bit, I'm waiting on Amazon to tell me it's in the store. Sometime this evening, the unit study will be in the store. But I'd like to introduce my cast of characters, those people that help me be successful. So as a self-published author, you got to gather up all these people and figure it out kind of on your own. And so without great people to help me out, it's just hard. So I'm going to start with Cummins, K.A. Cummins. She is the author of the Snow Globe Travelers. You'll see that up there. She's also my curriculum designer. So Kaylin, you want to just say a quick hi to the audience?
Hi.
All right. And then we have LoriAnn, who is my cover designer. She has made these awesome covers that we have, like this one. Awesome covers. And she may have a secret for us tonight. Then we have Mr. Strew, Randy Strew. He's my sound designer and helped me get the audiobooks. Like, I wouldn't have done an audiobook without him. Randy?
Hello.
And then last but not least, we have Stacey Bradshaw, the narrator of our books that make the audiobooks a thing. Her voice was perfect for this because neither Randy nor I can pull off a 12-year-old girl very well.
Hey, guys.
It's not our thing. It's just not it. So, but this is kind of like an Oprah because there were supposed to be prizes under your chairs. And so I've got you guys all something that I think is really cool. I have the Still Small Voice and Light of Mine audio book. It's a little MP3 player, but it's gold. And because of COVID and supply shortages, I can't get any more of these. So I have like a limited edition. Like nobody else is going to get these. So I'm gonna ship you each one of these in thanks for all the hard work you do to make my stuff work.
So, yay! Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And there's like 3 more left in the store. So if you're watching and you think that might be cool, limited edition in the store, but I've got to give them to my team because they're awesome and they're super helpful. And if they don't need the cute little MP3 player, they might know a young child that would enjoy it. So regifting is totally acceptable. So to start out tonight, I'm going to ask Stacey. I'm going to do a little Q&A with Stacey to get started because she is very busy this evening and may not be able to stick with us the whole time. So Stacey, I got the first question would be, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an actress, and here we are. It worked out.
So were you always doing that? Like what actually got you into it? Was it like something when you were 4, you've always been acting, or was there a period of time you did something else?
Well, I think when I was about 12, I think is when I decided I wanted to be an actress. Before that, I don't think I had any particular aspirations. And it was a long road to get there. I went most of my teen years without any acting opportunities, unless I wrote like a little skit for church or something. Mm-hmm. And so the first time I did theater was like when I was 16 or 17. And so it was a long wait for that to be realized, to get that journey really started.
Okay, so when you've been doing this for a while, what's like the best class or like book you've ever gotten to teach you about your craft?
I didn't really. I mean, I took a few acting classes in college. Besides that, I haven't really done many acting classes. I'm not even sure I've read any books, really. But for me, it was just doing. I just learned by doing, by observing. Experience, I guess, was my best teacher. So, yeah.
Okay, so when you think about, so then you've been acting. What about the voice acting? How did you get into that?
Now that I just started a few years ago, so I've been doing film acting for about 10 years, and I love Lamplighter books. And so when I saw that Lamplighter was doing audio dramas and they had an audition, I submitted for that, and I got cast a few years ago in one of their audio dramas. So that kind of kicked off that part of my career. And then I guess it was at SonicCon that I met Randy, and then he got me connected with you to do the audiobooks. So so it's just been a couple of years diving into the voiceover work, but I love it. And I'm especially now because I just got married. So I'm really happy to have work that I can do from home.
Well, that's awesome. So when you think about that, the audio portion, because you do, as an actress, you do lots of stuff. But when you think about the audiobook, what's your biggest pet peeve about that?
Well, I think I would have to say my biggest pet peeve is when I'm trying to record and the dog starts barking, or the neighbor starts mowing his grass, or somebody's cutting down a tree and the airplanes keep going overhead like every 10 minutes. It's like, I'm just trying to get this done. And there's like so many noise interferences. It just makes it really challenging to get it done sometimes.
So what's your biggest pet peeve about you mentioned people getting noise and all that, but then do you have a routine to make that go away? Like, do you work really early in the morning or something else?
No, I haven't figured out a system for that yet. Early in the morning isn't really good for your voice. It's kind of better to, my approach is to spend the morning just kind of getting really hydrated, drinking lots of water, and getting my voice warmed up, and then start recording late morning or early afternoon. But that doesn't really help with the noise problem. So just try to work around it when I can.
Okay. So when you first started working on my books, and what was there something that surprised you, that like you weren't expecting that when it came along?
I don't know. I don't think so. I like this. The stories are always just full of surprises as they unfold. So, I mean, it was really fun just to experience the stories as they happened, and all the twists and turns and adventures and new characters that would come along. So just the stories themselves are full of surprises, I guess. Yeah.
So with this being the second book, was there something that happened that it's kind of your favorite part of the book? Was there a part that, as maybe as a voice actress was more challenging or fun, or like, and spoilers are okay?
Okay. I'm trying to think. So it's been a while since I did the recording, but I think the giant on the bridge, I remember like trying to find, because I have a little higher, I don't know, my voice doesn't go low very easily. Right. And so trying to voice, this big giant, it was like, oh boy, I got to dig deep for this one. And then just the, I forget his name, the little creature that comes in the barn. Talk. Yeah. And then trying to picture him and think of a different way to kind of voice him and stuff was fun.
Yeah, you really pulled that off really well. So any advice to a newcomer to the audio field? Like what's the one thing maybe you wish someone had told you before you got started doing it, other than, put the dog away?
Well, I would say, I mean, one thing I guess I didn't realize that was helping me all these years to practice is like reading books out loud to kids, when I'd babysit, or, my nephews and stuff, like just reading out loud to them. Because, well, at least for me, maybe it's just because I'm an actress, I don't know. But when I tend to do different voices for the characters, because you're reading for a little kid, you want to make it fun and interesting. And so you change your voice around a little bit. And I wish I had done more of that, like just been more dramatic with finding the different voices. Because when I started my voiceover acting journey, I hadn't really, I guess, played around a lot to know what my voice can do and where it can go and how it can sound different. So it's been a really great, like, doing these books has just been amazing for me to find those different voices and realize what I'm capable of doing. But yeah, just reading books out loud is like the best practice I think you can get. Just read the books out loud, play with your voice, just don't be afraid, just experiment with it and try to find the different characters.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much. Okay, so we are about to play a game. Is everybody ready for a game? Sure, why not? Okay, so let me see if I can get this picture-in-picture layout. Is that going to do what I want? Now I'm going to change it one more time. Okay, so this game is called Super Fight. And the idea behind the game is that on the top there we have 3 characters. We have the Illuminati, the Crazy Cat Lady, or the 101 Dalmatians. Below that we have a superpower. So could be in a berserker rage, can fly if nobody's watching, or is radioactive. Okay, so raise your finger left to right across the top. Which character should we pick, team? Illuminati, Crazy Cat Lady, or 101 Dalmatians? 1, 2, or 3? 2, 1, 2. So I got an even split. I'm going to go with number 2 then. I'll be the tiebreaker. Okay, so we have the Crazy Cat Lady. Whoops, I'm on the wrong screen. And now start thinking about the superpower. What superpower should the Crazy Cat Lady have? I think Randy's probably already picked that one out for us. Is she in a berserker rage, can fly if nobody's watching, or is radioactive? 1, 2, or 3? I got a 1, another 1, a 2, and a 3. Okay, so the 1s have it. All right, so Crazy Cat Lady in a berserker rage. All right, so she's going to be fighting against a literal insane clown posse, a spider, or Sasquatch. 1, 2, or 3? We have a Sasquatch.
Father, it's pronounced Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Okay. So I'm going to go with Sasquatch. Yep. And he can clone himself, but each clone is half as smart as the last. So it gets dumber over time. Is a hoarder or is really hangry? 3, hangry. 3, 2. What do you got, Randy? 3. Okay, so he's hangry. All right. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen again. And now the secret reveal. They each get an extra power. What is it? So the Crazy Cat Lady can control hair. And apparently Sasquatch is made out of guacamole. But he's hungry. So I don't know where we're going to go with that. So while we've got this game up, audience, if you're watching the live stream right now, we'd love to get some commentary from you as to who you think would win and why. And by commenting on this, you'll be entered to get a free copy of the Light of Mine audiobook from audible.com. But team, feel free now that I've got this up here. Let's discuss who we think ought to win.
I don't know, but it feels like they got absolutely the perfect superpowers for their personality. Like Crazy Cat Lady can control hair. Very convenient. Sasquatch being made of guacamole while hungry seems less convenient, but also it works out in a way.
Well, if you've ever seen Spaceballs.
Yeah, I'm afraid Sasquatch is going to eat himself.
Yeah. Sasquatch. What are you, from Saskatchewan? Sasquatch. Jeez, man.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, it seems like the crazy cat lady might win by default.
Yeah. Well, and she has plenty of hair to work with. She has a bunch of cats.
So are we thinking Crazy Cat Lady wins the first round? Because this is a multi-round game.
Yeah, I think she
Yeah, I
brings some
think
dip
so.
or some chips to the party, and she's good to go.
All right. Okay.
Just set the cats loose. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Set the cats loose to eat the guacamole.
Yeah,
There you go.
I don't know how well that'll work out, but yeah.
All right. Okay. So with that, we're gonna switch gears here, and Randy, I think you're gonna be up next. And I'm gonna ask you the hard question of what did you want to be when you grew up?
I was a really unmotivated kid. So, well, that it just, I couldn't settle on anything. There wasn't really anything I settled on. I didn't settle on anything that I wanted to be until sometime in high school, maybe. And I thought either in film or in radio. And as I was in college and needed to make a decision, I decided on radio. So, I guess that kind of by default is what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Okay, so what got you? You said that you did some radio, and you said that in college, right?
Yeah.
So was that just like it was a job and you did it, or were you taking actual like broadcasting classes?
Oh no, I took broadcasting classes and all of that good stuff. Learned how to operate a board and learned all the nitty gritty crap that you have to know to run a radio station. Levels, readings, and all of that nonsense that people listening don't get to hear about or have to hear about. So yeah.
So what was there a particular class that was like your favorite, or that was the most important thing that if you hadn't had that, the rest would have kind of fallen apart?
We had a couple of good radio classes that kind of went into the kind of how to do it, what you talk about, things like what you don't talk about, how to not be an obnoxious radio host, I think was pretty useful. It is worth noting I ended up changing my major eventually, but stayed in radio for a while. But yeah, that was probably, I don't know if it was broadcasting 101 or broadcasting 201, one of those.
So what's your biggest pet peeve in your craft?
Boy, it's got to be pretty close to Stacey's, I think. I don't usually have to worry about my. In fact, I'll put it this way: you can see I'm in this nice giant office behind me right here, and the reason for that is that my first year as a freelance voice actor, my cats were pretty much always crawling on top of me. I have pictures of one of my cats literally sitting on my shoulder like a parrot while I'm trying to record. Refrigerator going on, and then of course all the yard stuff. So eventually I just ended up renting an office space and turning that into a studio. I still get some of it now and then. If they decide to turn on the air conditioning, I gotta let that run its course before I can continue recording, or else plan for it.
So you're saying cats in your studio is probably biggest pet peeve?
Yeah, literally.
Hey, did you see the comment by Jason McCoy?
Yeah, cat wins by default.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to check.
Yep. Okay, so so what's your routine around work?
We get up. We got 4 kids that they have to get to school. 2 of them are in their last year of middle school, and one goes to one high school and the other one goes to a different high school. So the 2 that go to middle school can usually walk, but we got to get them up, get them around. The one that goes to the one high school takes the bus, so we just got to make sure he's up and ready to go. And then I take the other one to her school, and then I go to work, unless I stop and get coffee first, which Tuesday through Thursday is stopping and getting coffee days. go in and see what is on the docket. I've got now I'm trying to change my routine because I'm writing and producing some stuff now too, and I'm trying to get writing more prominent into my workday. But right now it's a lot of seeing what's there. I've got several long-term clients that I'm working with, and I'm also a podcast producer, so an editor. So I've got podcasting clients who I'll go through and make sure that their podcasts are ready to go and all that good stuff. Voiceover, whatever needs to be voiced over. As far as a routine, it just kind of depends on how things are going. If I need to do something about my voice, if my voice isn't quite doing what it should be doing, then I've got some tea that I use. And, other than that, it's mostly trying to stay awake. So.
Mostly trying to stay awake. That's awesome. Well, and I know Stacey mentioned that like starting voice early in the day is not good because your voice isn't warmed up enough to do it. And I never really thought of that as I don't know. I'm a big talker. It never occurred to me that maybe I'd be a bigger talker later in the day or something like that.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. So you and I started working together, and we actually had this kind of crazy thing we were going to do that someday maybe we'll still do that. But what was the biggest surprise about working with my content and kind of working with me as sort of a contract person?
Well, you're kind of a goofier guy than you look, which I guess you could take that as a compliment.
I do.
No, in the best of all possible ways.
Right.
Seriously, you're a guy who likes to have a lot of fun and very, very creative. Which of course you would be. But yeah, just there's a fun-loving part of you that likes to take risks and just kind of enjoy the ride, and that's something that I've appreciated in working with you as well, actually.
Well, I know this whole thing was a big risk for me, and I can't thank you enough, Randy, for how you've guided me through the audio process. There's just a lot of little nits and things that I have no experience in and would have just done wrong, and so I really appreciate that. What did you like about the latest story? Anything stick out to you that you enjoyed as you were doing your edits or just listening through it?
Oh man, putting me on the spot.
Or didn't enjoy?
No, it's not that. It's just I'm working on another audiobook right now. It's a nonfiction audiobook, so my brain is almost like 80% on that.
Sure.
Plus the creative stuff I mentioned that I've been working on. So just trying to go back to the books and think about it. One thing that I liked a lot really was sort of the and I don't know if I'll put it this way. One thing I liked a lot is sort of the family dynamic, and the where you've got these kids who are going through really something that is, if you were to take this and transplant it out of a fantasy novel and put it in the real world, it's pretty horrific.
Right.
But they're still kids. And I really enjoyed that a lot about it. That, they're not just all of a sudden growing up into these, super competent, 8-year-old adults. They're kids, and that you allow your heroes to remain children, I think is something that I enjoyed.
Well, I appreciate that. That actually took a lot of work. Many editor hours were spent disabusing me of these are not adults, they're children, fix it kind of stuff. But no, it sounds like mission accomplished. So in closing out your bit here, what's some advice you would have as somebody trying to get into kind of the audio production field?
Work at it. There are, if you want to get into audio production, there are pieces of software that you can pick up actually for free that do a lot of that are pretty powerful, and will allow you to kind of get your feet wet into audio production and practice different things and play around with different things. It's so funny because Stacey mentioned playing with her voice and how she wished she'd done more of that. And it's so funny because as both a voice actor and an audio producer, so much of really getting in there and figuring it out is playing and being willing to play. And I would spend my time with the radio station if I didn't have anything that I was working on. I would have all these little clips and pieces of things that I wasn't using for whatever reason, and I would just play with them and see what I could do with them and see if I could make something turn into something completely different. Or one of my favorite nerd out things, take half of a word and half of the same word but said a different time and put them together and make it sound seamless, and just be willing to play around. As a voice actor, I did it with my voice as a kid all the time, and learning how to do audio production. It was the same thing, just being willing to play and have a little fun with it, because honestly, in a creative field, if you can't enjoy it, what's the point?
I couldn't agree more. If you can't enjoy it, what's the point? So, you know what time it is? It's time for Super Fight Round 2.
Round 2.
Okay, so we're going to lose the hair control and Made of Guacamole. And Crazy Cat Lady is now going to have, drum roll maybe, is now inside a giant hamster ball.
Oh, hey.
In a berserker rage. And
just paint off the inside.
Sasquatch can throw fireballs and is really hangry. I think this is... I don't exactly just want to give it to Sasquatch because I kind of feel like hamster balls probably catch on fire and it's probably a pretty easy win for Sasquatch this time. But maybe somebody can come up with the reason the Berserker Rage roll thing works.
Well, I mean, is it a plastic hamster ball?
It does not say.
I don't know what else it would be. If it's glass, we have bigger problems on our hands.
Well, yeah, but I mean, glass isn't, a standard fireball is going to melt plastic pretty quick. It's not going to melt glass that quick. So she'd be, somewhat more protected if it was glass.
But she might cook slowly from the heat.
Right. Although it doesn't sound like he's like surrounding her with fire. And I don't know. She rolls up on him, flaming, and he's made of guacamole. I don't know how well that works for him either.
Well, the guacamole, those powers dissipated. So it's just inside the hamster ball.
Oh, that's right. He's not guacamole anymore. Yeah.
Well, that's a pity because I was going to say that she could set the balls of hair on fire and be flinging them back. But yeah, that's not an option. Too bad.
But he's hairy. But she can't control hair, so I don't know though. You get a Crazy Cat Lady inside a big hamster ball in a Berserker Rage. She could probably flatten him if she tried hard enough.
I think she could probably level a town because she's also got cats chasing her around, right? I mean, we have not included the cats in her whole thing yet, really.
Yeah.
Well, now her cats could be an asset, but they could also be a liability. It depends on what kind of Crazy Cat Lady she is.
And whether or not the cats are inside the hamster ball or outside, because if they're outside, they're probably toast at this point.
Exactly. In which case, if Sasquatch starts throwing fireballs at the cats instead of the cat lady, then all of a sudden it's, oh no, Muffy. And then she's got to rescue the cats. And then
I mean, I'm cheering for the Crazy Cat Lady at this point because same, but I'm thinking Sasquatch wins this round.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sasquatch is going to have it with the fireballs and the Crazy Cat Lady and all the hair she's wrapped up in there.
All right. So, anybody from the audience, we got any comments on this as to who the winner's going to be?
Anybody wants to chime in?
What's my
I've got
name?
it. I've got
Fan
it.
says,
Crazy Cat Lady wins definitely. Okay. So we're gonna switch back to our cast of characters that help make all of this possible, and now we're going to talk about LoriAnn from Magpie Designs, who makes these amazing covers like this or like that. So LoriAnn, what did you want to be when you grew up?
An astronaut.
An astronaut.
And then in third grade, I read that math is the language of science. And I knew that was no longer the career choice for me.
So you're saying that the math kind of took you out of the astronaut corps?
Oh, math has taken me out of a lot of things over the years.
So then what got you into doing your special? You're a graphic artist and an amazing at that. I remember the first time I saw one of your covers and I was just like, I hope someday I can work with somebody that's as good as that.
Okay, so when I was in high school, I was homeschooled and I was part of a online writer group forum posting thing called Apricot Pie. And I made some friends through there and we were all posting our various stories and things. And I had made a cover for one of my stories, and looking back, it was so incredibly bad. It made every amateur mistake in the book, but I was like 14 and I thought it was awesome. And so did the people I was hanging out with. And so I started making them for the other people on there, and slowly over the years started to, learn not to take images off of Google or use papyrus. So,
Awesome. So what's the best class or book that taught you the most about your craft?
So there's a website called lousybookcovers.com. I'm not highly recommending it to anybody who might be watching because I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of profanity on there. So that's a caveat there. But I think I have learned more. I mean, honestly, walking into Barnes and Noble and looking at things on the shelf and going, okay, how did they do that? And how can I imitate it? How can I recreate that effect or that image or whatever? I only ever took one actual graphic design class in college, and I hated it because the professor, I was the only non-graphic arts major person in there, and he did not like me. He did not want me wasting his time. So it was not a good class. But so, yeah, I'm mostly self-taught by looking at other pretty things and also looking at really hideous things and going, okay, I don't want to do that again.
So what you're saying is you've learned by not example.
Yeah, sure.
What would be really curious is if either of my previous covers are on that website. I think they might be.
I haven't seen them.
Okay, so then where was I? What's your biggest pet peeve about what you do?
About what I do, like as in terms of my process, I think every creative,
or like the way other people make your life hard. Like maybe I am the cause of a pet peeve when it comes to.
Okay, so I've got this one client named Allen, and no, I think every creative person, when you're working on a project, you tend to get to this point. For me, it's usually about 2/3 of the way through, where you just hate every single aspect of it. I look at the project and I go, there's nothing good about this. It absolutely sucks in every way. It's horrible. I should just quit. This is terrible. I need to stop. And then usually, like if you push through that and you can get past it and you go, okay, no, I know what I'm doing. This is salvageable. I clicked one button that changed one thing and suddenly it's fine. But I hate that every project I get to that point and it's like, can I just skip it this time? That'd be great. Can I just maybe not do that anymore? So that's probably it.
Okay, great. So then what's your routine around your work?
So my routine is usually on Saturdays. Saturdays is the only day that I really have to work on graphic design stuff at the moment. I just got a full-time job at the day job. That's taking up a lot of time and mental energy. So usually on a Saturday morning, I will get up and I drive her to Panera Bread and I grab a bagel and a drink. So I pay my rent for the day and I go sit in the booth in the back corner and pop in an audiobook. And then I sit there for 8 to 12 hours and work on projects.
Okay, great. So then what's your biggest pet peeve about what you do?
So my routine is usually on Saturdays. Saturdays is the only day that I really have to work on graphic design stuff at the moment. I just got a full-time job at the day job. That's taking up a lot of time and mental energy. So usually on a Saturday morning, I will get up and I drive her to Panera Bread and I go sit in the booth in the back corner and pop in an audiobook. And then I sit there for 8 to 12 hours and work on projects.
I respect that. I used to have that kind of work when I was a consultant. That was the way I had to work. So when you started working with me, were there any surprises about what I was trying to accomplish or what I was trying to do?
How many books there are in the series took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that's not an insult or anything. It was I don't usually, because I work with a lot of indies, and most indies don't do long series. It's usually, a book, maybe a trilogy. I think I've only got maybe 2 or 3 clients that I've ever worked with more than 2 books on in a single series. And so I think it was like book 3 we were working on, and you're like, oh yeah, so for like the 5th book or whatever in the series, I'm like, oh, okay, this is more than I was expecting. It was a good surprise. It was a good surprise, but it was like, oh, okay, this is the trajectory here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and I guess, I don't know, we talked that you might have a surprise for the audience.
I do. Do I have permissions to share my screen?
Yes, you do. You
Okay.
should.
Then I think I can do that. Let's see here. Does it allow me to pick a window?
If it lets you share it.
Oh, here we go. So you get to see a little bit behind the curtain here, because this is opened up in my image editing program. But this is the little sneak peek, and I can adjust as asked.
Oh, that is so cool. So if you're on the stream right now, I have not done a quote cover reveal for book 5 yet, but this is looking pretty awesome, and I especially like the little paper thing you did there. That is so cool. Oh, now I don't even want to take it off the screen because I just want to look at it, because wow.
Well, I'll stop sharing it for now. You have to wait and see the real thing.
That is amazing. That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
And so what's your favorite part about, if you can go back in your mind, and maybe you can't, we made the cover with the you made the cover with the circus tent. What was your favorite part about working on that one?
Okay, so I don't know if anybody else actually, if you go on Google or something and pull up the image real quick, this is the silliest thing. So there's 2 things about this cover that I absolutely love, and both of them happened accidentally.
Give me just a second, and I will put it up on the screen.
Okay, yeah, hey, digital technology, it's the best thing, right? We were joking earlier about how one day we'll be able to do this in a holodeck kind of thing.
Yes, I just didn't have it. I don't know why I didn't have it in the little thing I was doing here. Okay, so this is maybe not the best version of this, because I had to do something I didn't want to do. When we tried to put it on Audible, it's a square, right? Instead of a nice
rectangular,
landscape.
yeah.
And when I put that on there, the little Audible thing that says, hey, this is an Audible audiobook, goes in the lower corner.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? It covered up the kids.
Oh no.
So this picture's actually inverted. Unfortunately, I had to flip it so that basically the Audible thing shows up down here in this corner.
Hey, it still works. It still works. No, okay, so you can't actually see it on this version because it's inverted, but on the paperback version, the smoke like almost perfectly sits behind the title, like that little almost like a L shape coming down. And that was a total accidental thing. I usually work on the background image before I start putting in the text. So that was a happy accident that when I put in the text, it was like, oh, this fits really well, and it makes a nice like a contrast there. And then the other thing, this is so silly. So here's another little peek behind the curtain. The boy in the checkered shirt in the middle, that is not actually his head. If I remember correctly, it might be his head and not his hair, but one way or the other, that child is Frankenstein ever so slightly. But I was so satisfied with how his hair turned out and how it looked in the final version. So it's silly. I love the colors of this cover. I think this may be one of my favorites in the series. I love the dark purples and the dusky kind of red color there. They're some of my favorite bits.
Yeah, so I grew up, and my neighbor, she had this house that was built in the late 1800s, and she had a lot of art that had to have been from the late 1800s to early 1900s. That was all these kind of oil realistic paints, and I always thought this looked like that. Right? It doesn't have the brush strokes in it, but it could have come out of the come off the walls of that house. So that's why I really like this cover.
Yeah.
Okay. So, any advice for an aspiring, cover artist?
First and topmost, my biggest pet peeve in the industry, particularly among indies, if the font comes pre-installed on your computer, it doesn't belong on a book cover.
You mean
That's one of the biggest
Comic
things.
Sans in a book cover?
Oh, Alan, we are friends, but I will physically harm you. No, so yeah, don't use default fonts. Do not steal images off of Google Image. Find reliably sourced images. Somebody asked in chat, what's a good source for fonts? Font Squirrel is a great one that is free. There are a lot of excellent sites where you can sign up for like their free newsletter, and they'll send out freebies every week or whatever. What are a couple? Deposit Fonts, I think is one. No, Deposit Photos. What's the other one that I use? You ask, and of course I go blank on these things, but just Google like excellent font sites or something, and look for ones that like have decent font or decent web design and don't have lots of pop-up ads everywhere, and you'll find decent places. Google Fonts actually has a pretty good selection. You have to be careful because a lot of them get overused, but you can find some pretty decent ones in there. And then just go into Barnes and Noble or whatever your local bookstore is, and look around and see like what are the professionals doing? What is on trend? What is attractive? What do you like? Look around and see what ones kind of call to you, and then just sit down with Photoshop, or if you don't want to buy Photoshop, GIMP is what I use, and it's amazing and it's free, and it basically does all the same things. And just trying to recreate it, just play around until you start getting a handle on how it is. There's a lot of good like YouTube videos and things that'll show you how to use tools and how to do design stuff, but the best teacher is just figuring it out, at least in my opinion.
That's awesome. Okay, so hold on just a second. I clicked the button and I lost my screen. There we go.
Do you mind if I answer a question from chat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Reese asks, what are some of my favorite book colors other than my own? Well, I wouldn't count my own among my favorites. I love mine, but that seems very egotistical to be like, oh yeah, this is my favorite and I made it. I absolutely love the cover of Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's a really nice design when you look at it. But then when you look closer, it's like a raven coming down like this. But when you look at it closer, you realize that not only is it a raven in the dark, but the light areas are also, it looks like a valley, and there's like houses, castles and things on the side. So it's kind of a double image thing. It's very cool. Let me look at my shelves real quick. Oh, I don't know. I really love the old Narnia covers. Mm-hmm. They're cheesy and very out of style, but they have a fond place in my heart. I still love them. And that style, the illustrated thing, is kind of coming back in fashion too. So
I got the cover pulled up.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's really cool.
So
awesome.
It's a gorgeous cover. It's amazing design.
Okay, so we are on to the last round of Super Fight. And we're down to a small thing, although is that a cat I see?
Yes, it is. It's Spot. So
okay, well let us see here now from a last round of Super Fight, what we have. So now the crazy cat lady in a berserker rage is a stuffed animal. And
I feel like everything is now explained.
Sasquatch is still really hangry and shoots webs.
I feel like that could be really messy because he's got hair and then webs kind of stick to everything.
Yeah, I'm
right. He's going to get himself all tangled up.
Yeah.
Well, the question is this.
I've seen Toy Story. I feel like a stuffed animal in a berserker rage is probably going to win.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have to wonder if the cats are not going to just destroy the cat lady. Like as soon as the crazy cat lady just gets too much of a string hanging off somewhere, the cats are going to just unravel her. Like there is no fight to be had.
Alternatively, Sasquatch is now a source of string. So
Oh, I see. So that distracts the cats from destroying the crazy cat lady.
Sure. In fact, if he misaims with the webbing enough, maybe he turns into like he was a cryptid, but now he is the world's largest ball of yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this one because I just kind of feel like the Sasquatch would make that work. Like he just win. So I'm trying to give the being a stuffed animal some kind of advantage.
You're probably right. Maybe he's a really small Sasquatch. Maybe he's like 6 inches tall. We've never said how big he was.
But this is true. It's not defined, although the general bit is that, the Bigfoot kind of goes together there. So, although wait, what if it's a Tony Stark size stuffed crazy cat lady? Right? In Iron Man 2, it was this bunny the size of the house that they couldn't actually get out of the house,
Yeah, like a stuffed animal, a version of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That could work.
Oh no.
I think that could work.
I think I just hate the phrase stuffed cat lady. Like
it just doesn't seem like it goes together very well.
We have a comment in the off to the side here. Is his web created from the guacamole? Well, no, because the guacamole power was lost earlier, so he's now just shoots webs. But maybe there are webs of guacamole. This could be a thing.
Guac power.
All right. Well, so we are on to our last, but not least, contributor to make all this stuff work. K.A. Cummins, the author of the Snow Globe Travelers, is also the author of my unit study material. And I've got some stuff I can share in the other screen in just a second. But just to say, she does great work in both making puzzles and coloring pages. I think these are awesome. Like I said earlier, the Still Small Voice stuff is supposed to show up in Amazon today, but we'll see if it actually clears. It may come out tomorrow. So I don't have a printed version, but I do have some stuff I can share if we want to talk about it more specifically. So, Kaylin, when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
A painter, a poet, and a firefighter.
Painter, a poet, and a firefighter.
Yeah.
That is an interesting combo.
Yeah. So my dad, he's retired from the fire department now, but he was a firefighter. In fact, my brother's in the fire department now, so it's kind of a family thing. And although he did paint, as his second job, but I was thinking more of like oil paints. I liked to get out, kind of paint pictures. So
that is awesome. So, what kind of got you into doing all of this stuff? Because you write, you do curriculum, you draw. Like, what maybe tell me a little bit about how you got into doing all of the things.
Well, I kind of always dabbled a little bit in art and writing, but it really sort of converged when it came to the curriculum. From me being a homeschool mom with a child with different learning needs. So it was challenging to find curriculums that suited those needs, especially in language arts. So since I have some experience in education and I'm also on the spectrum, I began creating curriculum to fill the gaps. So that's really how I got into the educational content.
Well, that's awesome. So what's the best thing, book, class you learned that helps with the educational content? Was it something, more specifically about being an educator before, maybe something you learned later?
It's hard to say. There's a lot of things that a lot of books and resources out there that were really helpful for me. I think the biggest thing was this one lesson that was not just from one source, but I heard repeatedly in some shape or form or another. But is to create and revise things in stages. I've heard this a lot, and it really works out well. So like in the beginning, the idea is forming while you work, even if you pre-plan. And each pass, you're sort of refining the idea until you move into this stage where you're enhancing the details for effect and meticulously cleaning up typos and stray marks and stuff like that. And that's kind of both as a writer and an artist.
Well, that's great. So, let's see. What's your biggest pet peeve about all the different things you do? Maybe don't pick every single one of them, but you know, say just the pet peeve about making a piece of curriculum.
Wow. It'd probably be the same for curriculum as it would be for writing and art. It's so in the final stages of a project, and this is whether I'm doing curriculum or other things, I look back over it closely and I'll pay attention to all the details to clean everything up, and it can take a lot of time and focus. So when I or someone else finds a typo, I'm relieved, especially when it's caught before it gets out there. But I'm also annoyed with myself because I missed it.
No, I totally respect that. So what's your routine like, or do you have one?
For me, I work best in the morning. So I try to stick to a regular schedule. So I'll get up and do writing tasks first. But a lot of times I still end up working out on nights and weekends. So, you know, just that obsessive part of really enjoying what I'm doing and that kind of stuff.
So when you first started working with me, what was your biggest surprise about this?
That would be hard to say, because we had met previously at the Realmmakers conference, and we'd been in a critique group for some time. So I feel like we kind of knew each other's work-wise, and there didn't seem to be really any big surprises as coming into that, you know. So I think the biggest thing is, as far as like, you know, surprises, I don't think there really was any. Although, you know, I've really enjoyed kind of seeing how you've done with what you've done with the stories and the direction they go in, and how things are shaping up, and some of the really interesting characters that you bring into it. I think that's been a lot of fun.
Well, I've got a story to tell, because we did know each other before this. We were in that critique group, but we actually met in person at the Realmmakers conference.
Yep.
And so I credit Kaylin with keeping me in the fight, so to speak, as far as writing goes, because near the end of the conference, I did a pitch of Light of Mine before it was called that. It was actually called Darkness Cloaks the Land, and I had this very goth motif to the whole thing in my bad cover that shouldn't have existed. Anyway, I went and pitched this thing to somebody, and by the time I was done pitching, she basically said, "You should take some time off and rethink your life." And I was like, wow, that was brutal. And I talked to Kaylin about it, and she was so like supportive and like, yes, you're going to get bad stuff. And in reality, to be fair, her issue, the editor person's thing was really about, you know, the buyers of your books are going to be mothers. And while little boys like Swords on Fire, moms aren't always drawn to a dark, black, horrible motif like you've got. Maybe you could lighten it up a bit, was really the underlying thing of the story. It took me, I did take a break. I didn't touch the project for like 3 or 4 months, and then came back to it all, and it's turned into what it's turned into. It was great advice, but Kaylin was there like right after that was done, and she's like, oh, I've had plenty of people tell me don't, blah, blah. She just handled it really well. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really helped keep me on the path. So it's been great to partner with you on all of this stuff. So if you can remember back, well, you just got done with the Still Small Voice unit study, so you don't have to remember something else. You don't have to remember the book. What was your favorite part about working on this?
Oh gosh. I think it's the same for the one I'd done before too. I really love the kids and their animals and all the faith connections in the stories. And so I think for me that's one of the funnest things about putting this together is that is putting that incorporating that into the unit studies. That's that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like this coloring page that you put together just because it caught the silliness of the story. I also appreciate your extra help with me along the way to make this truly kind of like, an Allen Brokken unit study. You might not be able to see this online. I'm going to try to zoom in here. See if I can get it big enough you can see it. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's get down here. If you will notice, the curriculum that we produce has the joke of the day. And I don't know anybody else that makes homeschool curriculum with the joke of the day in it. So that's all I'm saying, that if you want some high quality curriculum for your kids, that they will get at least a groan out of them. They're not all good. I mean, this joke is horrible, of course. Have you heard Optimus Prime is writing a book? It's an autobiography. See that? Autobots. I got the comics here. Anyway, sorry, folks. That was horrible. That was terrible.
No, it was actually really fun.
Well, we had to like completely reformat it, and we got to go back and reformat the first one to get it to fit. But I think it's to me, I remember being that 8 to 12-year-old age, right? Like in that as a boy, and my dad coming back from some thing with all of these joke books. And I loved a joke book when I was that age. And so to be able to kind of put that in there and make that part of the thing, I just feel like boys that age will enjoy it, and girls too. But just to say, kids like a good joke, and it's all clean humor. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think it was a good idea to add that.
So any advice to somebody that wants to get into doing curriculum?
Oh, wow. So I guess in the long run, hard work and persistence are more important than talent. And there's always room for improvement and always something to learn. And most of all, trust God and seek his guidance, because that's the most important relationship you can have.
Well, that's awesome. So give me just a second. I've got to do something. So we're coming to the end of the show. LoriAnn, Kaylin, thanks for sticking here the whole way. I've got to go make sure everybody knows how to make sure they're entered for the door prize, because we have this whole stack of books here, middle grade awesomeness that somebody's gonna win. And so I need to make sure everybody's entered properly, because I can't contact you by your YouTube name is the problem. So give me just a second to paste those instructions into the comments. And I don't know, any closing thoughts or encouragement to those trying to get into the publishing business, guys?
Don't give up.
For it.
Yes, I would agree with that. All right. Well, hold on. I'm trying to copy this thing. So if you are if you're interested in winning these prizes worth having, because we've got a lot of them, please take a moment to go over and comment on the comment on this Facebook page, because that's where I'm going to be entering doing my random drawing from. And so I'll post the answers to that there and then come back and comment here. But YouTube no longer has the ability to like contact someone, like DM people. So I can't give you a prize if you win. So thanks, everybody. And just so you know, you can go to towersoflight.net to get, signed copies, or if you're interested in like the one of 3 limited edition gold players I have left, they're on the website. So thanks everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.